Welcome, everyone. It's 7 o'clock, and we call to order the monthly meeting of the Meridian Library District. We welcome everybody here in the room and also recognize that there are others joining online. We're happy when people take an interest in the library and are happy to see you here tonight. We recognize that Trustee Cummings is joining us online, and we excuse Trustee Hart. She's not available tonight. First up on the agenda tonight is public comment. I didn't see anybody that signed up on the list outside. Is there anybody seated in the room that would like to make public comments? Okay. That brings us to item number 3, which is our consent agenda. Consent agenda items are those that are considered to be routine, uncomplicated, and not likely to require discussion or face opposition. Supporting information for all consent agenda items is included in our monthly packets. Trustees always have the option to remove any item or items from the consent agenda for individual consideration. Tonight's consent agenda consists of the approval of the meeting minutes from our last meeting in October, a review of policies, fairly simple policies with minor changes, record retention schedule, and the public record, and then also a job description for the foundation manager. Are there any objections to approving all of the items on the consent agenda? Hearing no objections, the motion passes by unanimous consent. Next on the agenda is item number 4, the financials. We have 2 action items here, the approval of the September 2025 financial reports and also the disbursement approvals for the same period. We'll open it up to Director Grove.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair. The financials are there. Emma is not here, so if you have questions, it might take me a minute longer than it would take her to answer, but I will do my best. As you all know, September is the last month of the fiscal year, so end of fiscal year spending, but a little bit lighter than most months because we try not to spend as much money, especially on staff purchasing cards, because it is a bear to try and get it all wrapped up cleanly by the end of the month. But happy to answer any questions that any of you all have about those reports.
Questions, comments from trustees? So Nick, this is the budget versus actuals is the entire fiscal year, correct?
Before I say yes, I'm going to double check.
October 24 to September 25.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, that is the entirety of the fiscal year. It is, I would say, a non-audited version.
Correct,
There's going to be cleanup that just to do the final verifications of everything now that the fiscal year is officially over, but 99.9% there.
And then once audited, that's another action item to approve the audited report.
Yes, the audit will be happening
January?
next week.
Okay.
Next week, we will be sitting through the most fun thing in the world of an audit, and we will have it ready for you all in January.
Okay. If there's no other questions or comments, I would entertain a motion. We'll do this in 2 action items, please.
I move that we approve the September 2025 financial reports.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
I move that we accept the disbursement approval for the September 2025.
I second.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Up next on our agenda is a request for reconsideration.
Are we not doing the staff presentation?
Staff presentation is going to be next, number 6.
Okay. We flipped it? Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Thank
Did
you.
yours
Sorry.
match that?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. I printed it earlier today. I apologize.
Okay, so yes, next on the agenda is item number 5, a request for reconsideration of an item in the library's collection. The item to be considered tonight is a book entitled Gender Queer by Maya Kobabe. And before we get into the discussion and the action item itself, Please allow me to review the context of this agenda item and our options to be considered. I'm going to read a lot of this because it's important information and I want to make sure that I cover it both for my own benefit and trustees' benefit, and also so that everyone here understands the board's role in the matter. We also have a trustee new to the process since he was elected to the board after our last request for reconsideration. The Meridian Library District has a collection development policy approved by the board and posted on our website. For those in the audience who may not be familiar with the word collection, just think of it as things you can check out. And I know that the library staff would disagree with that definition, but close enough, right? Okay. So our collection development policy says, here are the guidelines for purchasing the items that people can check out. The collection development policy also includes the selection of materials that are removed from the library's collection. Meridian Library District staff and the Board of Trustees adhere to the collection development policy. We review it regularly and revise it as needed, including recent additions last year after passage of the Children's School and Library Protection Act. Part of the provisions of that law include steps patrons can take should they find material in the collection that they believe is in violation of Idaho law. District policies and state law, in the case of requests stemming from the Children's School and Library Protection Act, require transparency in reviewing requests for reconsideration. The procedures for filing a request are on our webpage. Patrons can print the form there or pick up a copy from a staff member at any branch library. It's a two-part form. Part one is essentially what we've had for years, an opportunity for a patron to ask for a book to be moved or removed for any reason not covered by the Children's School and Library Protection Act. Section 2 is to cover the points specifically covered by that law. Once a request for reconsideration is received, it becomes part of the public record. Submitters acknowledge they understand it will become a public record as part of the form they sign. A copy of the submitted request will be linked to on our website. As the steps unfold, the library's formal review will also be posted there, along with any decisions on the matter rendered by the board. As mentioned a few minutes ago, the item on tonight's agenda is a request for reconsideration of the book Gender Queer. It is currently shelved in the adult graphic nonfiction section of the Pinnacle branch. The patron filing the request asks for the book to be removed from the public shelves and accessible for adults through a request to library staff or by minors with written permission from a parent. I'm now going to quote from our policy page. The burden is on the censor to prove that specified materials meet the definition of material harmful to minors. The Board of Trustees will fairly and impartially adjudicate claims that the materials in the collection meet the statutory definition of material harmful to minors, but will apply the statutory definition closely to ensure access to protected speech is not illegitimately restricted. Adequate procedural safeguards, including judicial determinations, are necessary to ensure protected speech is not infringed. To follow these steps of fairly and impartially adjudicating the claim, the request was first reviewed by senior library staff. A written report and recommended action was prepared by the library director, based in part on past guidance from our outside counsel. That report is in the trustees' information packets distributed in preparation for this meeting. And please note, the written report will be posted on the web portal on the same timeline as all other supporting materials for this meeting are posted. The person making the request will be notified of any actions taken by the board on the matter as soon as is reasonably possible. Our decision also becomes part of the public record. To summarize the director's written response, the recommendation is that Gender Queer remain in the collection and remain shelved in the adult graphic nonfiction section. We as a board can adopt the library director's written response and recommended decision as its own, with or without modification, or the board can issue its own decision. The question before trustees tonight is, in simple terms, does this book rise to the level of harmful to minors as intended by Idaho Statute 18-1517B? To meet that standard, the book would have to meet each of the following three criteria as outlined in the aforementioned Idaho law and the U.S. Supreme Court. This is the criteria that we are called to apply tonight. Material will be classified as being harmful to minors when it, 1, depicts or describes representations or descriptions of nudity, sexual conduct, sexual excitement, or sadomasochistic abuse, which are patently offensive to prevailing standards in the adult community with respect to what is suitable for minors. 2, when considered as a whole, appeals to the prurient interest of minors as judged by the average person applying contemporary community standards. And 3, when considered as a whole and in the context in which it is used, does not possess serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value for minors based on a national standard. At the conclusion of our discussion tonight, the wording of possible motions can be as simple as moving to follow the requester's decision that the book be reshelved, or moving to concur with the library director's written recommendation that the book remain in its present place in the collection, or moving to follow some other action of our choosing. It's enough reading. Thanks for letting me get through that. So I'll open it up now to discussion from the trustees. There is no minimum or maximum time required to discuss this, but I'm happy to take comments and questions among the group here, and Director Grove can also be part of that discussion.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, please.
I remember when this book came up for reconsideration. I think it's been 3 years now.
Yeah, that was before the law was passed, which is one of
Yeah.
the reasons why we're talking about it tonight.
And I read the book then, and I read the book again. And when I consider the book as a whole, I just don't think it meets standard 2 or 3. I understand that people don't like things that are on the shelf. I understand that certain ideas and different sets of values make people uncomfortable. But at the end of the day, part of our mission is, number one, to follow the law and the Constitution of the United States, and then also have fair representation of our patrons, all our patrons. So I'm going to vote to uphold the director's recommendation.
Thank you. Trustee Castle.
Mr. Chair, I will most likely vote to uphold the director's recommendation. There are 2 primary reasons. The first is that I believe that it is already appropriately settled based off of the law as it stands. The second reason is primarily because having current evidence in the year and having ran, the most common thing people asked me was, are you for or against censorship? And in a straight binomial meaning of this, right? The recommendation by the reviewer that this become a book that is behind the shelf with, written permission to go is not one that I found, at least in my experience in door knocking, to be one that was common or very popular in the community. And so it's my view that as an elected official, it's the moral action to represent the best to our ability what the electorate votes us in for. So that is my 2 reasons for this.
Trustee Cummings, anything you'd like to share?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, please.
yes, thank you for the opportunity. I just want to voice on the record. I've said it before and I'll say it until I die. If the library doesn't have material that is patently offensive to some people, then we're not doing a very good job of representing the entire community and giving everyone the opportunity to feel welcome and have books available or materials available that can help them identify themselves, or they can identify. The library is a mirror and a window. It's a window to the world, and it's a mirror to reflect the community. So I would like to also say that I appreciate Director Grove's thoroughly researched and well thought out recommendation to the board. And having said that, I move that the board formally accept the director's recommendation as written and forward it on to the requester.
I second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any further comments? I'd like to just say, too, that the book has been checked out 16 times this year and 10 times last lifetime circulation 47 times. And so again, that's a sign that although it may not be something that I would check out or read necessarily, my views as a trustee are to represent all of the city of Meridian, all of the district residents. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye. Oh, sorry.
Aye.
Sorry, all in favor of accepting the director's recommendation.
Aye.
And I also vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm a little
It's okay.
caffeined up today.
That's all right. Next on our agenda is a staff presentation review of the ILA 2025 conference. Welcome to our visitors.
Hello. Hi. What? Ow. Oh, no. There we go. Hi. Hi. Did it work?
Yep.
Oh, it did? Okay.
I don't think so.
Get closer.
Hello? Hello? Oh, okay. My bad. Hi. So we represent a part of the staff that went to the ILA conference this early October. My name is Kaylee Millett.
Hi, I'm Melissa Haddon, one of our youth services librarians.
And I'm Izzy Burgess at the Pinnacle branch.
Oh, and I'm a library assistant. I forgot to say. But yeah, so we went to Idaho Falls in October 3rd through 5th and attended the ILA conference. On the screen are some of the other coworkers that attended with us, including Charlie, the dog. And yeah, we all had a lot of fun when we went. I wanted to just highlight a few of the notable sessions that I attended. First of all, one was Library Safety Net, and this was a session dedicated to talking about how libraries act as a safety net for people who come to the library, specifically for those 4 options: job seekers, people looking for help with budgeting, for help with digital skills, and like as a social infrastructure. And it was a great session. A lot of the libraries around shared all their resources and shared ideas for how to help support these community members. And overall, that was a big takeaway that I learned from the conference, was that, man, librarians and library workers, we just love handing out resources and knowledge to everybody, just without cost, so that we can better help all of our community members. So I thought that was cool. Another session I attended was First Amendment Issues in Public Libraries by Randy Fife. And that was really interesting too. And it made me really think about our policies, and made me really grateful for the policies that we have and how they are neutral, fair, and they help us, follow the laws and also like protect our library and staff. And that one was a great session as well. Another session I attended was Understanding Your Latina Community. This was a wonderful session that I attended. I learned that Latina is now a new, more gender neutral term for like Latina and Latino. Latina is like a more gender neutral one. They also talked about different biases that library staff can have sometimes when helping someone from a more marginalized community like the Latina community. They talked about do's and don'ts, which were very helpful. And they also, at the end, talked a lot about outreach, things that we can do, and shared, again, a lot of resources, not limited to the ones that I listed, listening to the communities, attending events made by the communities, and collaborating with offices who work with those communities, which I thought were really helpful in, day-to-day life, helping people at the library. And then one of the last notable sessions I went to, I think actually, yeah, this was the last one I went to on that last day, was Copyright in the Age of Generative AI by Nate Wise. Anyways, that one was super helpful too. He, I think, works at Idaho, one of the colleges in Idaho. I can't remember which one. College of Southern Idaho. Thank you. But he was really informative about AI as his topic, talked about its history, some court cases around it. And at the end, again, shared a great recommendation for what libraries can do to help patrons, to help each other, to help the world, is like stay informed on all the different varied topics about AI, advocate for balanced laws, support digital literacy, promote responsible AI use, and build partnerships with, all sorts of people. So I thought that was really helpful. And again, I learned so much about libraries in Idaho that I didn't know existed before attending this conference. And so it was really neat to see everyone coming together and like sharing all their knowledge and stuff.
I had 2 sessions of note from the conference. The first one was Decodable Books with Alicia Stout from the Idaho Falls Public Library. She presented about a particular kind of book that is used to teach early literacy skills. These books aren't like typical easy readers. They are structured in a way that help children practice learning specific sounds per each book. So one book might focus on learning the double O vowel sound, for example. Idaho Falls Public Library is putting together a collection that is specifically utilizing decodable books. So it was super interesting to talk to her about sourcing that material and what goes into qualifying something as a decodable book. And then I also went to a session about information privacy. This was with someone named Ross Sempak out of College of Southern Idaho. He discussed a training that he went to through the Library Freedom Institute. It was a 3-month-long training that he got to go to through some grants with ICFL. This taught a lot about different ways to protect your personal data and ways in which the library can help ourselves as employees as well as patrons protect their personal data. He had some recommendations for literature that I can share if you're interested, and provided some zines such as Your Privacy Power Handbook, which had some steps that people can take, such as using VPNs and creating better established passwords. It was also very interesting and a good, useful for my role as the Intellectual Freedom Chair with ILA.
All right. I also got to attend a lot of really interesting sessions. I went to some of the same ones that they've talked about. So some of my notable sessions were the Children's Services Roundtable session with librarians from all around our state. And we had a really good discussion connecting other youth services librarians regarding summer reading philosophies, storytime ideas, and meaningful team programming. And it's really interesting to hear what different libraries are doing, because as we know in Idaho, we all have different budgets and we have different kinds of patrons and we live in a lot of different kinds of communities. And it was wonderful to be able to just be together and share all of that information. And I got a lot of really fun ideas. And then I also went to, go back, please, thanks. A paperfully crafted kind of craft class by Sammy Viewing. And she is also at the Idaho Falls Public Library. So I've gotten a lot of feedback lately from our middle school librarians that tweens and teens love crafting. And that's one of the ways that they're getting them into their school libraries. And so I thought that I really needed to up my crafting game because that isn't something that I've always been really good at. And Sammy she taught us a lot about this craft. That's the one that we made. And it is Japanese in nature because Idaho Falls has a sister city in Japan, which I thought was really interesting. And they've done a lot with that in their library. Inside on the first floor, they have a koi pond. And then they also have 2 samurai suits that are behind glass that were gifted to them from Japan. And one was even a children's samurai suit, which I didn't know that you could be a child samurai, but that could be something really cool. I could see Nick's boys getting into that. All right, next slide, please. Our very own Paige Beach did 2 different sessions on the Idaho Battle of the Books program. That is a statewide reading competition for grades 4 through 12. And Paige is the public library liaison on the steering committee. She also serves as one of the choosers of the books and writes a lot of the questions. I love that this offers team building, community support, and the spirit of competition using books and reading. So we know that not every kid wants to play sports, but they want to do something in a competitive nature. And there are 3 separate age groups with books specifically chosen for each of these levels. And I thought it was really great that Paige is out there representing our library system and doing a lot in our state for the Idaho Battle of the Books. And many schools have teams. You have 4 kids on each team. Not every kid has to read every book, so that's kind of how they have dealt with some of the challenges that they may get about books. And it's only been in Idaho for a few years, but it's definitely getting bigger. And I know Paige has just decided to do one that's library district sponsored with some of the homeschool students. So she's doing that this semester and next semester. And we're excited to be able to support our public schools, especially in West Ada, even more. All right. Theo and I attended Fonts Have Attitude, Branding and Signage in Public Libraries. And this, I learned a lot that signage is important for wayfinding, that it's important to use standardized fonts and logos, which we do a really good job of that with MLD, to use borders around things and to be very consistent so that it just isn't haphazard. And I know that Nick finds that important, to not just have things everywhere or have handwritten signs. She talked about how posters grab attention, so you have less words on those, and that flyers can be informational. And I liked that she said that creativity is allowing yourself to make mistakes and design is knowing which ones to keep. My favorite session was by Dave Meacham, who is the commissioner for the Idaho Commission for Public Libraries for libraries. And his was all about why kids don't read. He has been a librarian for a long time. He's been a classroom teacher. Now he is a middle school principal. And I really appreciated the way that he was presenting this information, because you can tell that he is a great leader in his community and in his school, and that he loves kids and really does a really good job of helping to have relationships with kids in order to help them be successful. And I think all of that transfers to the work that we do in public libraries as well, in all of the work that we do with the public. So he said that kids are reading less due to overscheduling, more screen time, and that reading is a lower priority in society than it used to be. But he didn't really spend a lot of time on that. Mostly he was talking about how we can help kids make reading personal, find out their interests, utilize nonfiction for non-motivated readers. And I love that we have pretty robust nonfiction sections in our library branches for children. And they're being used. And kids are coming in and using those for school projects and reports, but also just because kids have questions, they want to know stuff. And I love that we can help them to get all of their questions answered. He also talked a lot about how public library partnership with schools can make all the difference, and that we can really be an asset, that we can help to build trust with families, with schools, and with libraries, and that there is success through relationships. And he talked a lot about how most people, when they look back in their lives, they'll talk about, especially when they were a teenager, how there was one adult in their life who was not related to them who really made a difference, and how you can do that as a school librarian. But we can also do that for our patrons every day. We see so many of the same patrons who are here all the time, and we're learning their names, we're understanding what it is that their interests are, and really helping them to make this their safe space. And I really just wanted to say to the board, I really appreciate how supportive you are in making sure that we have a lot of opportunities to go to conferences and to learn. And I think this was the first time that MLD has sent staff from all different jobs and even some who are part-time. I thought it was really great. It was really wonderful for our collegiality. We were able to really get to know each other on a different level, being at a conference together, especially because while we are a district, many of us work at different locations. So thank you for that.
Melissa, Izzy, and Kaylee, stay up there for just a second. Thank you for your presentation. Any questions or comments from trustees? Go ahead, Garrett.
Yeah, I was really interested in this decoding books concept. Is there anything that you guys would want to bring to our libraries here to help our patrons know if a book is decodable or not?
I think that's a really good question. I went to that one too. Do you have any thoughts on that?
It's okay. You don't have to answer that today. It's just, I'm interested in it. So yeah, thank you.
You know, she talked a lot about how in decodable text, they have pictures, but that they don't give away the story like they do in picture books where, you know, in early literacy, we do want the kids to really be able to look at the pictures and understand the story because they're just barely starting to understand what the letters are and how those go together. But so these books are predictable, they're leveled. A lot of it is to build confidence in early comprehension. And we know we want to do everything we can to help kids have a positive experience with reading, because when you have a negative experience, that can really affect your whole life, which, you know, you have to be able to read in order to be able to communicate. We know that that's one of those building blocks. So it was really interesting to hear how all of these skills can build a good reader. So there's a lot of scaffolding that happens in these books. There is a Decodable Books Reading Center at the Idaho Falls Public Library. They have take-home kits that they're doing with those that focus on these specific skills. There are also manipulatives in those kits that focus on phonics skills and tips and ideas for parents to build positive reading experiences at home. So if we have the shelf space, that would be great to put together some of those kinds of materials for kids so we could look at that in the future. Thank you for that question.
Thank you.
Laura, any questions?
I was just curious about the AI session and if there were any big takeaways that were really impressive or impressed upon you that you went, oh, I didn't know that.
One of the first like court cases he brought up was from the 70s or something of a photographer who left his like camera like out of his hands and a monkey grabbed it and then the monkey took the picture like a selfie almost, and I forget the court name, but it's a famous one, so you could probably Google it. So he like loved the photo and made a lot of money off of the photo. And then I think PETA sued him or brought it up like, hey, that's not your photo. You didn't do the physical taking of the photo. Which when you put something, I learned like for copyrightable, probably maybe this is common knowledge, but it's only copyrightable when you put it in like a tangible form. So like taking a picture, taking a video, jotting a note down, drawing a picture. So PETA was like, the monkey took the photo. The monkey, those rights belong to the monkey. But then in that court case, I think they determined, I can't remember if the monkey won or if they determined like the monkey can't have rights, but also he doesn't have rights to it. Did you find it out?
It ended with a settlement.
What did they say? The U.S. Copyright Office determined that Slater did not hold the copyright. So yeah, he did not own the copyright because the work was taken by the monkey. It has no human author in which the copyright is vested. So yeah, so that I thought was really interesting. And so he quoted that for the AI thing because since AI has come up, like that case has been almost helpful for people being like, oh, I generated this picture. Don't I own the copyright? And like the courts have like said like, no, just like this monkey took this picture. You didn't make this picture. The computer made this picture. so it's not copyrightable. But people can take those non-copyrightable pictures and like make things out of that. Like someone made a graphic novel with all AI pictures. So none of those pictures individually are protected. Anyone can take those pictures and put them in any order, but the way that author put those pictures in order, that was copyrightable, if that makes sense. Anyway, so that was really interesting. Did that answer your question?
It did.
I kind of
It
lost
did.
the plot.
No, that's great. My next question is, was there discussion about how AI is changing how consumers of information consume their information and how they understand its validity and reliability? And
I don't know. In that session, no, I don't think we really touched on that. I think we mostly touched on like copyright and AI. But that I feel like would be a really helpful, like maybe program to do in the library to like help teach people to have that like literacy regarding AI and to like be able to suss out their sources. Because I've definitely helped out many patrons who are like, oh, can you find this like full recipe for me? I want to make this recipe. And I looked at it. I'm like, oh, this is AI, and this whole Facebook page is AI. I'm so sorry, this doesn't exist, but let's find you a recipe that does exist. So yeah, that would be a really helpful and interesting thing, but unfortunately we didn't touch on that.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Just curious.
Yeah. Thank you.
Kaylee, I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
So the Latine focus, is that more than just Spanish language books, or and particularly how would that relate to the MLD?
For so yeah, they did have resources of like Hispanic and Latine books and resources, books that we can have and maybe make lists of to help patrons like get a hold of in our library. But it was also just about like them coming into the space and feeling like, and feeling welcomed and feeling a part of the group instead of just like being a minority, but still. And so, yeah. And I lost the plot again, I think, but yeah.
So more than just books, you're saying?
Yeah,
So
it's
making them feel, even though most of the books are in English, that's okay and they're here.
Yes. And yes. Even though most of the books are in English, they're here. They're not, most of the time they're not here for books. They're here for helping printing things. They're here to help seek for jobs. They're here for support. And so a lot of the session was not only about helping them find resources like books and things, but also about how we interact with them. Like when like the biases, like, and the do's and don'ts that they mentioned. Like one of the don'ts was like, don't just assume that because they're not fluent in English that they're not like just as smart or smarter than you. Which common sense, but like that might be common sense, but sometimes, yeah, we just make kind of assumptions and jump to different cases. And yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Josh, any questions for our presenters?
No questions, but thank you, Mr. Chair. I do have a couple of comments. First of all, I love this investment in staff and the professional development of our people. And a big part of that I know is thanks to Nick and the MLD leadership for choosing who gets to go. And it's great to see that it's not the same names that are having the opportunity to go to these conferences and build their professional knowledge and experience and resumes. On the subject of the AI, so in real estate, there is when it first came about, there was a lot of concern, particularly with apps and programs and that sort of thing. At the end of the day, there's no app, there's no program, there's no AI that is ever going to replace a human being sitting at the kitchen table explaining people's options when it comes to buying or selling their house. So there's no fear professionally of being replaced by a program. And I just want to let the librarians all know, no AI, no hologram, no app is ever going to replace you, because you have, that we call it missionary style. When you are face to face with your, the public that you serve, they appreciate having a real person to talk to. And then the last thing on the Latin community or Latine, it made me think about our non-native English speakers in our community. And Nick, this is kind of a question for you. What percentage of our collection is available or is not English? Just ballpark. Is it something that can be quantified? And does it kind of match up with the demographics of our community? If we have, 5% of the community speaks Spanish as their primary language, or 1% speaks Russian, or whatever the case may be, or do we have a collection that can accept through links or representatively proportional wise kind of match up to that? And I know that's kind of a broad question, but just something that I had never really even considered until this presentation.
I can answer that with a ballpark answer and not specifics, but I would say we have less than 1% of our collection that would be in a non-English language, which is obviously not representative of the community as a whole. However, I will say that it is by far one of the least used collections. Now, some of that can be, kind of getting to the heart of what was at that conference. I'm going to make some ballpark assumptions, but I'm assuming it was Ismail that gave the presentation.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I can kind of assume, make some assumptions on what he was talking about, but a lot of it is not only about, is it being used? Do we have it? But how do you reach that audience and how do you connect with them to give them the resources? How do you get them to come in? But not only how do you get them to come in, how do you get resources to them? And a lot of times it's not about having it in their native language. A lot of non-native speakers prefer to use the library as a means to better their English. And a lot of the non-English collection is more often than not used by native English speakers learning to speak another language versus a non-native English speaker seeking something. And some of that comes down to the availability of our selectors to be able to get items that are native in those languages, native from those countries of origin. There's some real challenges with that, and not just getting something that has been translated from English to those languages, but having something that is native from speakers of that language, native to the home country of origin for those languages. That's a lot harder, and that's where the true value would be versus getting things that are merely translated. So it's a very nuanced answer to say we don't have a representative percentage of non-English books comparative to the population that we have. We have room for growth, but we also have to be cautious in doing it correctly.
Great.
That all makes sense. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your presentation tonight.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda is item number 7, a policy action item for the gifts and sponsorships policy. This was in our packets here. Nick, anything you want to say?
The red line was in your packet. There wasn't really too much. It was just a few cleanup pieces. So I can go over it, but by and large, it's just a cleanup and to make it have more clarity and more consistency, both within the policy itself, but also to align with the other policies that we have within the district.
I didn't see any major changes, even without the red line. It didn't seem to be
there
any
were
substantial.
Nothing substantial. It was borderline. It almost could have gone consent agenda based on how many, but that's always a judgment call on that. So
Okay. If there's no discussion, I'd entertain a motion on this one.
I move to accept the updated gifts and sponsorships policy as it stands.
Thank you.
I second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 8 is also an action item. This is a proposal to modify our district boundaries and also modify the boundaries of the Ada Community Library, our adjoining library district. And it's somewhat complicated. And so I'll turn it over to Director Grove for some background information.
All right, I will do my best to summarize what we are discussing and what you are taking action on one way or the other tonight.
Yeah, and I wouldn't worry too much about the geographics, more why.
Yeah, I'm not going to read the Vince and township and range and all that. It is dense, we will say. The background of this is in reviewing our boundaries, we have some areas of growth that don't align with our boundaries very well, and predominantly close to our Pinnacle branch in South Meridian. And one of the things that we looked at is our boundaries have not really changed since 1975. We were discussing before the meeting, the population of Meridian in 1975 was approximately 3,500 on a good day. We're approaching 150,000 people. So there's some areas that we need to look at, and this is one of them. With the previous library director at Ada Community Library, and I had discussed this last year. There's a timing element of how we can do this. So this process to change boundaries between library districts is established in Idaho code. There's a process set forth, and essentially we have to do the map. We have to get all the really complicated language done that we had a professional surveyor do, because I don't know how to write those things. And our board has to adopt it. The Ada Community Libraries Board has to adopt it. And then it needs to be to the Ada County by no later than December 15th. And then the Ada County commissioners will act on it to adopt it in January, at which point it would then go into effect for the upcoming tax season. So this is a long process. It's really complicated in its simplicity, but at the heart of it, it is aligning our boundaries to better serve the community with where our Meridian Library District branches are and where Ada Communities Library branches are. And so it's a joint effort to try and line things up. While we are all in links and we have reciprocal borrowing, there are some differences that come with that. And being able to serve people that are across the street from our branch so that they are in our district is something that we are seeking to do to further improve how we provide library services to our community. Unlike a city library, our library districts do not perfectly align with the cities with which we represent. So the Meridian Library District's boundaries do not align perfectly with the city of Meridian's boundaries, both the current city boundaries or the area impact boundaries established by the city of Meridian. And so because of that, there's always going to be a little bit of discrepancies of, do you live in Meridian but not be served by Meridian Library District? That is possible, but it's also possible to technically not be in the city of Meridian but be in Meridian Library District. Not as much, but it can be possible, especially with county enclaves. So I could nerd out and talk about mapping and taxing districts for way longer than anybody needs, but I will leave it there and answer questions.
How were the plots chosen? In particular, this one in the south, why didn't it go farther west?
It did not go farther west because that runs into the CUNA Library
Okay.
District.
Gotcha.
So, but yes, I had the same question when I first looked at it.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Josh.
Nick, I am sure that this has been researched and analyzed in detail as far as the net property value or tax assessed values for the gained and lost areas. So can you summarize the financial impact on the district's finances from that regard? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. I do not have a clear, clean, easy answer other than to say in a roundabout fashion, more or less, it doesn't matter. And the reason I say that is because we are so far under what we should be able to tax because of the limitations of our of the budget process as established by the Idaho legislature, that it will be a net wash regardless of what happens.
Well, I that doesn't really make sense to me because if for example we lost, call it $1 billion of taxable value, the millage rate is going to increase to sustain the same budget in the following year. Is that not a true statement?
The dollar amount,
like the existing members of our district are potentially, if we lose value, are going to have to shoulder a higher millage rate to provide the same income to the district.
Yes, kind of. One will be gaining a lot more properties with this.
Yeah.
Especially in that south area.
That makes sense.
And the areas where, especially right there, the growth in Meridian will offset any changes immediately. But in essence, we will be gaining more properties with this. And so that millage rate would go down.
So are you saying, Nick, that even with disregarding these boundary changes, the growth of Meridian within the boundaries is growing enough that the taxable base is going to be the same?
It indicates anything that would happen from a dollar standpoint. From a rate standpoint, there's a 0.00001 to 0.000003 change.
You're making that up, right?
Not really.
How many decimal points?
I think it's 5.
Okay.
That's essentially where the difference is that we'd be looking at, based on the total property valuation that goes into the L2 numbers every year.
Josh, does that satisfy your question?
It does. And I am, again, putting on that public servant, elected official kind of responsible hat. I am comforted by the fact that the Ada County Commissioners are going to have the final say on this. And I'm sure that they will be balancing those financial concerns that I kind of expressed at a very basic level. So I'm glad that there's another set of eyes that are going to be looking at this and taking that into consideration. But if Nick says that, hey, this is a good thing for us and it's going to better serve our existing community, and I'll just throw it out there. If anybody looks at the map of the city of Meridian boundaries, it looks like Swiss cheese because all the unincorporated Ada County pockets within what you would think is the city limits of Meridian. So I don't think that matching up the district to the city is ever going to even come close to reality. But yeah, I think my concerns are satisfied, and if staff thinks that this is a good thing and also that the Ada County Library District has also is on board with it, then I certainly will not be objecting to the proposed changes.
Garrett, Laura, any questions?
Mr. Chair, Director Grove, my question was the same as Trustee Cummings. I was curious about that. And I understand your answer. I do at some point want I want numbers. Sorry. Like, I know it's hard to project value, and I understand what you're saying with the growth. If we continue the trends over with what we're doing, I think we will continue to see property taxes continue. You know, we're going to have that source of funding. So I agree with you there. But I also see some property values dropping a little bit, so that is impactful. For example, I know this Ada County assessors coming around our neighborhood and redoing our assessments per, every 5 years. That's what they do. I don't know how that will turn out. I should go talk to Trustee Cummings. He might have a prediction, but I would like those numbers. My other question, but I'm not going, that wouldn't prevent me from moving to the point where I think this is a good idea. I mean, my wonder is if we were to draw, what libraries, how they overlap circles, if this helps with some of the library deserts that we see out there. That was one of my wonders. So my other wonder is still about, is it called the Fields?
Yes. Yeah. The Fields master plan in Northwest Meridian, that is in the Ada Community Libraries district. They were not interested at this time in negotiating that as part of this process.
And that's fine. I just wanted to make sure that was discussed at some point.
It was, and it is still on my radar as a high priority piece for us in the future because of the imminent growth of Meridian into that area over the next 15 to 20 years. And the establishment of the highway through that area and the Owaiki High School as in the southeastern tip of that 4 mile section is something that I'm acutely aware of and following.
Yeah, I think it will create some problems.
Yes.
The way it's currently set up, but I also understand Ada County's desire to possibly keep that.
One of the things that we tried to do was line this up with easy to understand landmarks. Chinden Road, Highway 16, Cloverdale, Lake Hazel, making those cleaner and more understandable for people to actually use. That's one of the things that not only with this, but with everything is trying to look at what we do from a patron perspective. We don't want people to have to understand the nuance and, intricate details of, well, why do I get this service versus this service when I'm here versus like 10 steps this way? Having those major arterial roads as landmark pieces, it makes it a little bit cleaner for our patrons to understand those differences. So while we can knock down all the barriers, with how we do borrowing and how we do links as a whole to make that process easier, one step that we can do right now is to keep people that are heavily frequenting our libraries in our district, and people that are heavily frequenting, especially like on that area B on the map, that's very, very close to the Victory branch. Like that makes sense that it would be a part of their district. It also aligns with the roads. So try to make it as clean, as simple as possible for all parties involved.
Garrett,
Mr. Chair. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Josh. Go ahead.
I just had another thought triggered. The areas that are potentially being dropped from our district, not to say I don't care about those areas, but for our purposes, for what I'm going to say next, they are irrelevant. But the areas that are gained, I think it would be very beneficial to the library district and a responsibility of the district, in fact, as we are taking money from that incorporated areas, those newly annexed areas. There should be an everyday or every door mailer saying, hey, congratulations, you are now part of the Meridian Library District. Here's our services that we provide for you, because they're going to see it, the library on their property tax bill. And it's could also be kind of married up with an introduction to the Meridian Library Foundation as an opportunity to, hey, congratulations, you're part of the district now. With that comes maybe a responsibility to engage with the library, use it more frequently, and potentially financially contribute to it. And here's an easy way you can do that. Does that make sense?
100%. Happy to get
Okay,
that.
awesome.
Happy to get that started and rolling to align with any official action that would come out of this in the new year.
Yeah, I think that would be a very good thing. And gosh, the concept of library deserts, last I heard, and I could be wrong on this, I thought it was primarily the West Boise bench area that was, or West Boise that was kind of in that library desert. Is that still an accurate idea, or?
I would say yes, but I also am so focused on us that I don't dive into the details too much beyond ours. With the addition of Orchard Park and Pinnacle, offset by the bookmobile and home delivery, we don't have as much of a library desert as some of our counterparts.
Okay, yeah. As long as we're taking care of our own, that's really what I care about. And if it does become an issue, I'm sure you would elevate that to our attention with some good charts and diagrams and that sort of thing.
Yes, absolutely.
Cool. That's all I had.
My question is, how often can we do this, right? Not that I'm saying we're going to trade with the Ada County library district all the time or anything like that, or, that kind of thing. But is it great? You've redone your boundaries. You get to do this once a year, once every 5 years, or is this something that can happen in perpetuity?
It hasn't been done in 50 years. It has to be done before December, I'm going to say 15th, to be able to move forward in any given year. And so you could only do it once per year because of that process. With the amount of work that it has taken, and this is now going on, some over a year and a half since this process, like almost 2 years since it kicked off. I would not want to do this often, just from a personal standpoint, but you all want us to undertake it more often, it's something we could entertain, but I would caution us against doing it too much because of fatigue from all parties involved. So it's something that we haven't done. It's at least to my knowledge and from anything we could research, it's not something that has happened since the district was merged with the city of Meridian Public Library in 1975. And so I would say, while we can do it, I would caution us against doing it without some real foresight into why.
I may explain my question a little bit. I was mainly thinking about this from the perspective of the library desert concept out of Western Boise, and I was finding myself asking, well, okay.
Yeah, they're a city, though.
Yeah, and I think we can't trade with the city anyways in this way.
It is much more difficult to do anything when it crosses over from in Idaho code. There are public libraries, which are a part of the city, and then public library districts, which are independent taxing districts such as ourselves. To do things within district to district, it is very straightforward, and there's a process written in Idaho code on how to do these things. When it comes to doing public library to public library district, I would highly recommend us not going that route.
Thank you.
Okay. So if we approve this tonight, so the Native community is undergoing the same process. Both boards chairs sign, goes to the county by December 15th to be considered in January.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. I would then entertain a motion.
Mr.
Mr. Chair.
Oh,
Josh, go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the Meridian Library District boundary annexation and transfer of lands to the Ada County Library System as presented and published.
Just for clarification, Ada Community.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Library.
Yes.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Up next, item number 9 on our agenda, the director updates for the month. Mr. Grove.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will try and keep it brief, and I will be reading from slides because Vasile is not able to be here, so I'm going to go over some of the ones that he helped prepare, but I'll start with mine because there's no words and it's really easy. We'll start with some pictures of our new admin offices and warehouse. So this is the inside of the admin offices and warehouse. This is the offices section. You can see the new carpet and the new paint. That was part of the TI of moving, into the building. And so those will be covered expenses with the saved rent for October and of I think it's the 13th month of this lease. And so we were able to get a refresh in there, have carpet that wasn't, there was a few spots where there were some major tripping hazards and some Mars on the paint. So got that fresh, got that going. We don't have everything hung up. As you can see, the TV's still on wheels because it's not the one that goes in there, but we're getting everything ready to go in there. And then on the next slide, this is some pictures of the warehouse. And on the left side, you'll see the warehouse shelving where we can stack pallets and program supplies, janitorial supplies, and things of that nature. And then in the top, you can see the library shelves. We have 13 rows of shelves. Each row has 10 bays, and each bay has between 6 to 8 shelves per side on it. And so that will house the 41,000 items that we brought over from Cherry Lane, along with the bookmobile collection interspersed in there. And we'll be able to turn on holds very soon. We are hoping to do that in the next few weeks. There's a lot of back end pieces that still have to get turned on and recoded and checked in. What's that? December 8th. There we go. December 8th, we will have the collection turned on. Its official name in the catalog will be Meridian Warehouse. And it will be a holds only collection that will go through both the Lynx courier to the other Lynx libraries, and then our internal courier to take it to our other branches within the district, and through the home delivery program that we have, which is just on the other side of those shelves. And so our internal courier is also our home delivery courier. And so they incorporate the stops at each of our branches each day as part of their routes to deliver the home delivery items. And it's coming along. We got everything set up. Everything's moved in. I think we have, when I left today, we were somewhere around 4, maybe 5 carts of books that needed to be shelved. Other than that, everything is on the shelves. And almost everything is in order. They allowed me to even shelve some books. So we hope that those are still in order as well. Some of the updates from throughout the district we've been working on, as we've been talking here for a while. The strategic plan staff have been taking lead on that, which has been great. They did a lot of tabling events throughout the community. We wrapped up the community survey that had, I think I want to say 1,100, a little over 1,100 participants in the community survey. We had 2 focus groups, community focus groups, and it's been going really well. We had staff here involved with creating some social media. I'll shout out Kaylee. She did some really great spearheading of content on our social media platforms that really engaged the community and got them interested in taking the survey and really following. Our social media numbers have gone really high because of that work, and it's been great. We also had people at the Oktoberfest. I know in the board report you can see the numbers and how that worked not only for the survey but also for foot traffic into Unbound, and so and then we had a lot of attendance at the trunk or treat events throughout the city. The staff presentation from earlier highlighted the Idaho Library Association's annual conference. I would just like to say congratulations to staff that went, but more than that, thank you for being here tonight and sharing your experiences. I wish I could have been there with you. Hopefully I can go next year, but you did a great job not only representing us there at Idaho Falls, but here tonight. So thank you. We've had staff going to some conferences, really kind of all over the place. We had somebody up in Canada for a conference. We had Colorado. We had St. Louis. We're doing a lot of work to really get that professional development opportunities for staff and being targeted in how we do that. And the staff have been doing amazing things, all the things that you can read on here. Those programs, if you try to go to some of them, be ready. They've been pretty full. I know I've stopped by a few of them, and it's really great to see how engaged the community is in those programs. So, and that is all that I have for my director updates. In the packet, one thing I would point out is some of the statistics that Jenny included for circulation. Those statistics really highlight the volume with which things have been checking out, where those changes have happened. You can see the spike when Cherry Lane closes, but you can also see that there's ones that weren't as impacted, like Tiny Library, for example, wasn't as impacted, but Unbounds was, and Orchard Parks was. And so it's really interesting to have the numbers help tell the story that we're seeing with our eyes as well.
Thank you. Questions from the trustees for Director Grove?
Not a question so much as a comment. I just want to say thank you to everyone in the district for ensuring that our resources don't lay fallow, right? I think it's a testament to this library that we see these increases in holds throughout multiple locations, that we are actively trying to ensure that when we have items from the Cherry Lane, that it's getting to a place where people can access them again. And I really just am impressed with that. So thank you.
I would add one thing with the warehouse collection. When it does go live and it's able to fulfill holds, we are working with links to make it so that the items that are in the warehouse collection are triggered for hold before items within the branches, so that items will stay on the shelves longer in the branches to make them available more often for people walking in. Obviously, if there's tons of holds, they're all going to be off the shelf. But if there's 5 copies in the district and 2 of them are at the warehouse, those 2 are going to get the hold request before the ones in the branches will. So just something that Jenny and her team have been really working hard to get to make that process even better.
Go ahead, Laura.
I just want to say thank you to Jenny and her team. I can't imagine of the whole process of organizing a collection, and then also in your, I can't remember what platform do we use for the catalog?
Polaris,
yeah. Changing that from like all the book locations from Cherry to the warehouse. That's a huge task. So thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Josh.
I just wanted to mention, I don't know if there's a warehouse policy guide or anything like that, but the picture showing the ladders and the shelving and that sort of thing, as a small business owner and a guy who's been up and down ladders a lot, I'd recommend that you institute a policy of, hey, nobody goes up a ladder without a spotter, to stabilize those step ladders. Preventable falls is a real big OSHA thing. And I would hate to see somebody, in a rush, unstable ladder platform have a fall when it's easily preventable with a two-person rule, for example, where, hey, you don't go up a ladder unless there's a second person there. But that might just me be.
That is not you just being
overly
you.
cautious.
That is something we are very actively working on, and there are very few people who are allowed to use that. And one of the things we will be doing is kind of
awesome.
sectioning off that warehouse so that most people who go out there would only stay in the book section, and very, very few people will have access to the warehouse shelving section.
Mr. Chair, Director Grove.
Okay, good to hear. And if you see me in a ladder, that's it.
So is roller skating off limits?
You can roller skate anywhere other than our facilities or on our property.
Nicely answered. Not the answer I wanted.
As risk manager for the district.
Okay. Nick, thank you for the director updates tonight.
And one final note, if anybody sees me on a ladder in the back of my pickup truck at the car wash, don't call OSHA on me. I'm a trained professional.
That sounds
I did drive by and see some questionable things there with you on ladders. So I did just keep driving, Josh. So
Okay, that brings us to item number 10 on our agenda, future agenda items. I will state that it's my intention, unless we have an emergency to meet next month, that we cancel the December meeting, but let's leave it on the calendar for now. And Director Grove and I will consult and cancel it if there's nothing pressing. Is that accurate? That being said, if there's any items for either an emergency or an urgent December meeting or a routine January meeting, please let me know.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I'm only bringing this up because, and I apologize, I did not think through when we had this discussion as a board several months about changing the meetings to Thursdays. But based on my race car schedule and travel commitments and that sort of thing, it is, I would like to revisit as a board the possibility of changing our meeting dates back to Wednesdays. If there's an appetite for that amongst the board, just because it turns out that Thursdays are hugely inconvenient for me, and I did not foresee that when we initially changed that date. So I don't know if we want to make that an agenda item or if I need to put together a campaign to make a change back, but just something to think about.
Yeah, I'll make a note of it as a possible item for our agenda. Any other items?
Josh, are you wanting that for December, or are you thinking further out into January? Because I
demand
either
that
of
we
us
have a
want to meet
December
December
meeting and interrupt everyone's holiday. No, I'm kidding. No, it's just put a pin in it, but just kind of planting seeds.
Understood.
Cherry Lane updates, obviously. We should have some more updates by then, right? I mean, some substantial updates.
yep, by January we will have a lot more updates.
Okay, and you'll let us know about the boundaries.
Correct.
Okay. Will we need to attend the county commissioners or anything?
No.
Okay. All right. If you have any other items, please bring them to my attention, and Nick and I will discuss them as we prepare the next agenda. Thanks, everybody. It is 8:19, and we are adjourned.